What's up, T?
What's up?
Hey, man, welcome back. Another episode of Movies with the Homies. This is episode 7. Yeah, man, thanks for making the time today. Definitely appreciate it. Yep, episode number 7. We've been on a roll lately. So, yeah, let's just keep it going here. All right, man.
Yeah.
This first topic is one that is kind of like a special request in a way. Because a couple of people have reached out to me and say, hey, man, T is always talking about this show called Raised by Wolves. Okay. And you put it out there in the ether for everybody to talk about, but they say, hey, man, this guy has never really talked about it other than just saying, oh, it's a great show. So that's going to be our first topic of the day. There it is, man. Raised by Wolves. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I saw the first couple of episodes of Raised by Wolves, and I just wasn't, not to say that it was a bad show, because it looks like a pretty decent show, but I just wasn't blown away or wasn't captured. It was like, all right, it looks cool. But then this particular article, I was doing some research just to kind of say, okay, what can we talk about it with? And then this article pops in. And this headline, I haven't read anything other than just this headline. And it's like, okay, I'm intrigued now. I'm intrigued. It says, Raised by Wolves, Campion and Murder Bot Brill are the weirdest, cutest couple on HBO Max. Now, I don't want you to give any spoilers, T. We're going to keep this really kind of high level, but Murderbot? Okay, I need to know about this show. What makes it good?
Oh, hey, man. Look, this is a very interesting because it's sort of the Crusades in outer space, which is a great premise. They've got this culture called the Mithraics versus the atheists. It's just a great dynamic. It's interesting to see the twist they put on this. There's irony in the story. It's a little slow in the beginning, but the more you follow, the more you get entrenched. There's great character development in this. It's a TV show, so there is that moment where you're like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the shiny light over there? But it's a great movie. I mean, this comes from Ridley Scott. You know what I mean? It's based on the premise sort of aliens, but an elseworld stories, sort of with the aliens premise. Robots are ultimately, they're the bad guys. You know what I mean? They're supposed to watch over you, but they don't have their best intentions. And you're watching this thing, and each week it gets better and better and better with the character development, just with the consistency of the acting, which is great. You've got a lot of characters in there that are just, man, they just cannot be stopped, man. And the more and more you have to hang in there with it. First few episodes are rough because you're like, what is going on? But the more and more you get into it, the more and more you become fascinated by the fact that, wait a minute, this is a war this is an endless war. An endless war. Trust me, take your time with season 1, take your time with season 2. The season finale is coming on next week, and I am pumped. This is a great story. Sure, like I said, it's an hour-long show, 42 minutes. It's got to be filled in with filler. Some parts of it aren't as good as you would think. But if you could just stick on there and just say, wait a minute here. I see the direction they're going, and I'm intrigued in this. This is story. What are we always talking about, D? We're always talking about story, how it's next.
Yeah.
This thing has legs. You just have to make sure that you put your seatbelt on and you ride.
I like that. I like that idea of just strap in. And that's the thing. It seems like it's a journey. It's not like a quick trip around the store to the store around the corner. It seems like they're taking you on a journey. And that's definitely the feeling that I got from watching those first few episodes. Like, okay, they're taking us on a long trip. I need to make sure that I'm ready and strapped in for that. Now, I want to ask you this question, being somebody that's watched this show from the beginning, and you're very excited about it. You talk about it to me all the time, just in conversation. We'll be talking about something, and then Raised by Wolves will come up, the mother and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay, T, I get it. I'm just not into it. But now, like I said, after reading this particular headline, I don't want to know anymore. I want to go and dig into it just by hearing those words, Murderbot. But why do you think that, in comparison to other HBO shows, like, we see Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, even like Westworld, got a lot more traction from the general audience than this show, because I don't really hear a lot about this show. It took me a while just to kind of go through and find this article. So why do you think this show isn't getting that? Go ahead.
Because of the premise. That's a great question, Derek. Hey, it's because of the premise that I shared with you. It's the Crusades in outer space, right? And because that premise is there, it's a touchy subject, right? But what's the irony about this is this show has got some SJW, some subtlety to it. It's got everything in it except for one thing, and I won't spoil it for you. And when you watch it, you'll see. You'll see that this particular thing is missing from this movie. But, sorry, not movie, but show. It's only missing one thing that is popular, is a popular occurrence in today's television shows. So that's probably why it's not as big as it could be, because it would kind of diminish the arc of the story, which is the Crusades, right? So it's the side of the righteous and the front side of the logical, fighting against each other in outer space with freaking robots that are amazing. You know what I mean? So it's about consistency and delivering, and I think the public sometimes never knows that. What happened in the 80s? Plenty of good movies that didn't do well because what? The economy wasn't there. People just say, hey, last thing we're all thinking about is movies. But we got all kinds of gems. In times like this, we always get the best of movies, and the studios go all in for that. This is something that I'm really proud of HBO going in, and I strongly suggest this to anyone who likes story.
Okay. All right, cool. So, yeah, that was, again, just, I got excited, all the stuff that you've been telling me for, the last couple of years about this show. I couldn't get excited about it. I tried watching it, but then I'm like, wait a minute, there's stuff like this in there. Okay, I am down. I am in. I can't wait to check it out. So, I'm probably going to, stream a couple of episodes tonight just to see if I can get caught back up into it, and then just kind of go from there. What's that?
So it's not really a spoiler to watch because it happens in season 1 at this point. But it makes it more interesting. There is a character in here that is a small boy that is growing up.
Okay.
His parents get taken over by two people who are imposters who make themselves look like this kid's parents. The kid finds out and still calls his mom and dad.
Interesting.
It's just interesting. You know what I mean? And
right.
And he is a believer.
Okay, wait, hold up. No more spoilers, man. You spoiled. I want to discover it. You got to discover it. You got to see it. I want to see it play out. All right, but folks, what do you think about this?
Passionate about it.
I can tell, man. You've been on me. You have been on me about this, but I want to know what the people think about this particular show. Have you watched Raised by Wolves? T is super duper high on this show. He absolutely loves it. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to try to see if, the first couple of episodes that didn't really pull me in, maybe episode 4 and 5 might get me to bite in on this. So jump down. Let me know what you think about Raised by Wolves, if you've seen it, or what do you think if we can, what do you think of this show? And is this something that people should jump into? All right, T, let's move on, man. Got another topic here. This one is another one that you wanted to have. You wanted to have some words about that. And that's about a movie that's coming up called Top Gun Maverick. Now, I see the look on your face, T. I see the look on your face, man. And I was, it's like, okay, I can say this, like, when the first Top Gun came out, right? I honestly wasn't a huge fan of the movie. And I can still remember, like, there was I don't know where it was, hanging out with some friends or something. We had an opportunity to go to see Top Gun. Say, hey, let's go check out Top Gun. And, and I was a teenager at the time. And I think I went and saw, like, Short Circuit. I think Short Circuit was out that same week. Yeah, Short Circuit. So that's where my head was at the time. So, but as time went on, grew up a little bit, watched the original Top Gun, great movie, lots of fun, music soundtrack is great, all of that. But you don't think that this Top Gun is going to be any special, right? So here's a little article real quick. This came out earlier this year. Top Gun Maverick trailer cast, everything you need to know, and it kind of goes into some information about Top Gun. We know that it's hitting the big screen May 27th of 2022. Hopefully there's no delays for that, because a lot of people have been waiting. This movie should have came back in 2020, but obviously things have been going on in the country that it couldn't. So now that's where we're at. Top Gun is ready to launch, but you think that this movie is going to bomb. Now, I need some explanations, T. You got to explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old. Why do you think this movie is going to bomb?
Because this movie is almost 40 years too late. This movie is not necessary. I see a Wall Street 2. I see a box office flop. I see a Basic Instinct 2. This is not going to do well. The only way this can perform well is if, the issues that are happening over on the left side of the world are, what the generation that's into this. I don't see kids want to grow up saying, I want to be a fighter pilot. It's just not going to transition well. It doesn't. The irony of this is not there. You don't have conflict, even though you're trying to redo the 80s with what's going on on the left side of the world. It just is not. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's
interesting.
It's not. It doesn't have the legs it needs that it had. Although the circumstances around this are almost eerily similar to the 80s, but it's just not going to work. You'd have to have something transition between now and then for it to take occurrence. Otherwise, people aren't checking for this movie. This is not a must-have. You know what I mean? And when you got a great actor,
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just step in real quick, just so I make sure I understand. So you think the current climate, right? Like what's going on in the world right now? We got a country going up against another country, Russia, Ukraine. We got all of that action going on right now. And you don't think that that's going to kind of get people into the Top Gun spirit of things? I'm not sure what the movie is going to be about. I'm not sure if there's a lot of political agendas in this thing or not. I don't know if there's even patriotism. There was a lot of the feeling of patriotism from that first Top Gun. You don't think that's a part of this?
You remember the movie Stealth with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
Did that do well?
I don't remember how it did. Honestly, I don't remember.
You're not this. You can't have a macho movie. This is a macho movie about. I'm macho. You don't have that. You don't have that anymore. That's not our culture anymore. We've moved on, and this is not something that will transition well. He'd be better off if he was going against aliens. Yeah, great. But what are we doing here? You know what I mean? You got bureaucracy here that pushes buttons now. Not, hey, let's go get a fighter pilot to do it. You got drones. Like, what is this about? Like, why is this necessary? You know what I mean?
Got you.
I can see if you would say, hey, this is life on a base. You know what I mean? And he was in charge. He's still a fighter pilot. Like, what kind of things have happened in the last 35 years that make this movie necessary? It's an unnecessary movie.
I definitely think you're right about the unnecessary piece of it. It's playing on nostalgia. We know how it is nowadays. We're going to get into that in a little bit later on in the show about how things get remade, rebooted for the purposes of nostalgia. But it's Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is still a pretty solid star in today's movie-going public. A lot of people remember this movie. So you're going to get I think you're going to get a much older demographic. You know what I'm saying? I think you're going to get people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and up. Because like I said, when I was a kid, like kids was excited about seeing Top Gun. I mean, this is like 1986. So I'm like a 13-year-old kid.
You had the games, the fighter pilot games.
Yeah.
Still coming out. You had a lot of things going on. Like I said, you had the 80s bravado.
It was a different time.
Key factor that I've been waiting to tell you about, my surprise underestimation. You don't have pop rock going on right now. You had a lot of rock and roll going on in the 80s with bands that were, big hair, big bands. you had Bon Jovi, you had all those things. What are you gonna
Yeah.
bring back?
Yeah,
All
the
the
80s the 80s is not the same. It's not the same, right? Like the 80s it was a completely different time, and even though they're redoing a lot of things like you said from the 80s, this isn't the 80s, and the
no,
temperature of the country is completely different. So where Top Gun thrived, it was in that kind of
temperature
Reagan
of the world,
conservative 80s
the
time
world,
frame.
the temperature of the world is different. Now
Yeah.
I could see he was delivering. Hey man, they're delivering aid or doing something. I haven't seen the movie. One thing I'm pretty positive about. There's been a bunch of probably rewrites on this
Mhm.
and like reshoots. It probably will be a melting pot of what was a bunch of good scripts that they had to jumble together and make the best of. Because this movie's had several delays. I just don't think it's going to mix well. It's not going to transition well like they think. And
All right.
they've got a bad movie. If they push this movie back this many times, they've got a bad movie.
I think you've convinced me, T, because I was kind of on the fence when you said you wanted to talk about this. I was like, I don't know. I think Top Gun's going to, but I think you've convinced me just from the standpoint of me remembering what it was like as a kid coming up in the 80s and remembering how the original Top Gun played out. But I could be wrong. You might be wrong. We'll see about it. It drops May 27. And folks, tell me what you think. Do you think Top Gun Maverick, the rebirth, Tom Cruise, all of that, you think this is going to be a smash success? Chill out, T. Chill out, man. You all right, man? You think this is going to be a smash success? Do you think this is going to be a box office flop? Or somewhere in between? It's just kind of like hey, it's good, but it's nothing great. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and we'll check that out. All right, T. Let's get on to the next topic. Now, this one, I already had my conversation about this, and that is topic number 3, DC. So I gave my opinion on what happened with DC this week, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring the little article up so we can kind of discuss it. This is from BGR.com. DC movie delays. The Flash, Aquaman, and Black Adam are pushed back. So you can check out my earlier video. I'll go ahead and put the little link up there for you on that. But in regards to your thoughts, T, we starting this whole thing out. It's just T telling us everything that he feels about the situation right now. So we know that Flash got bumped back. Aquaman 2 got bumped back. Black Adam got bumped back, while Shazam was bumped up and jumps into the 2022 campaign. So, and it's funny because it starts off right here, right? It says this in the article. Just a week ago, 2022 looked like it was shaping up to be a standout year for DC movies. And remember, T, we talked about this because I said this is the year, okay? And you can go back and look at that video. We covered that. This is the year that DC takes the plunge, takes that step, and jumps above Marvel. I talked about it, and we kind of shakily came to some kind of an agreement with that. The Batman has made an impressive $288 million at the global box office, so that's doing great. Great score on Rotten Tomatoes, all that good stuff. And then what happened this week? Warner Brothers announced a bevy of delays for its DC movies slate. So, T, you had a lot to say about this to me throughout the week. Here's the numbers here. Here's the dates here. It says here, Black Adam from July 29 to October 21st, 2022. So that got bumped back a couple of months. But then you got Aquaman technically getting bumped back a couple of months from December 16 to March 2023. And then the Flash got the business, man. That thing got knocked back from November 4 all the way to the end of June of next year. So from early November all the way to the end of June. What's going on, T? What happened? Talk to me.
They're trash. They are trash. I've been telling you they're trash. I've been saying it to you since 2016. They're trash. They're the worst company in the face of the earth. You know what this basically means, Derek? I want you to prosecute this thing. They basically didn't have anything to show for 2023, so they just dumped it back. They are the worst company, the worst visionaries I've ever seen in my entire life. You had 2 home runs. You just mentioned it. You had Peacemaker, you had Batman, and you didn't have anything for 2023. So what you did was you pushed back some of your movies and said, well, we had a better year than expected with Batman, so guess what we'll do? We're going to push all our movies back. We know that you don't have nothing, dude. You have nothing.
I don't buy that. I don't
No,
buy that.
let me go in, D. This is my time. Let me tell them. No, they're trash.
All right, man. This floor is yours. Go ahead.
This is a trash company, dude, that has nothing. Nothing. You want to talk about a nothing burger, man? This doesn't even have carbs in it. This is a terrible company that made a terrible decision. I told you, what did I say when Super Bowl came around? Man, they didn't have any real promos for this. They should have a Black Adam promo.
They did have a promo. That DC promo came out.
Don't give me that. Don't give me that sizzle reel. Come on. That you're going to push back? You got love for this company. This company craps on their players. They crap on Big Blue. They crap on Big Blue for Batman. Come on, you like that crap Batman movie?
You got love for the company too, man.
Fans is liking that too.
You got love. You got a Green Lantern shirt on right now, man. What you talking about?
DC, but they treat that. That don't mean DC's gonna do the right thing. They have no kind of integrity, dude. You don't have integrity because you're not doing the right thing by Superman, and everything is going to be wrong until you do that man right. But apparently, we're going to have a black Superman. When I got Icon, I'm going to do this. When I got that. Why? You're a bunch of screw-ups. Harvey don't need to be black. Have him be what he is in the damn comic book or whatever, or ambiguous. It just, come on, write something. Write something that's good. You got Black Adam, man, there's no scenes of, come give me something, dude. You push these movies back for Shazam?
Shazam was a great film, man. I don't care what you got to say about it.
And Super Pets is too. Yeah, how dare you?
I don't know about Super Pets.
How dare you?
But
how dare you?
T, I know you got that, man. You're getting Shazam a little bit sooner, right?
You and this Shazam, dude. And what you've done is Shazam, who was bigger than Superman, guys. Bigger than Superman at one point.
Yeah.
Bigger than him.
Yeah.
Or just, he was so much of a threat to Superman, Superman had to he's the reason why Superman had to redo his powers. Because he was... All right,
T. Now, look, I know you saw my video and you saw my theory, okay? Remember, my theory was that I think what they're trying to do is trying to help Shazam out. Now, listen, hear me out, man. Hear me out, okay? You got Black Adam. You got a huge superstar, movie star in The Rock, right? A lot of people are going to gravitate to that film. It's his first superhero movie. Rock practically looks like a superhero sometimes. So you got him coming in. And he's Shazam's nemesis, right? So the two of them go together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? You got to make sure that you give.
That worked out real well for Venom and Spider-Man.
We haven't seen. Okay, but Venom did well. Venom did well in the box office, right? Venom's a good movie in the box office. So again, just follow me on this. Follow me on this for a minute. So I don't know if they have a post-credit scene already shot with Black Adam in it. Maybe they do. Okay, but if I'm or if I'm David F. Sandberg, I'm saying, look, we need to get closer to Black Adam because we could get some of that spillover. If that movie is a success from the powerhouse known as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and that carries all the way through, the movies are only going to be about 6 weeks apart, okay? Black Adam and Shazam are only going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 weeks apart, okay? 6-7 weeks, all right? So you're talking about now, the one thing that they did say, and that I wasn't even aware of until I saw another person talking about it, is that Shazam is going up against Avatar 2 now. You know, and now that hurts. That hurts. I didn't realize that Shazam was going to go up against Avatar 2, but it's coming out a few days before Avatar 2, so it's going to get an opportunity to kind of get a little bit of momentum going and see if they could get, like, you know, first day, second day, third day, you know, a good solid run of, you know, a run of box office before we get to Avatar, which I think is going to do pretty good.
Can I interject?
All right, man, go ahead, interject.
Okay. DC does not do well with summer movie releases. Warner Brothers does not do well with summer movies releases.
Okay.
It's not their stick. I understand the financial moves. You push back everything. So the next movie we're going to get from DC is Super Pets. But I understand it's a summer movie. They're trying to get kids in the theater. We got to give the kids something. because that worked out really well for Scooby Doo. But I think
Do you think there's any credence in my theory that they pushed the two of those movies together so they can kind of
so.
support one another?
I think so. I think that DC really just didn't have the direction, and nothing for next year. So they just bump back to buy them some time, so they can come with a full, unadulterated heat in 2024. That'll be enough time for them to spread up. You'll have had what? It'll be 10 years since the last Superman movie. So
Yeah,
come
that's
with
true.
heat. You can hopefully reinvigorate the fan base by doing something ultra. I just think they just don't. They they didn't have anything planned for next year. Nothing.
I,
I mean,
I, I mean,
you, you still haven't heard about this. We're having
yeah,
this.
man, like that. I was got to get to that too. It's like I've seen that DC has done good in some areas. It's like, okay, Peacemakers, Suicide Squad, great, and this Batman movie. But it seems like the stuff that's still kind of somewhat connected to the DCEU, and it doesn't have like a lead guy like James Gunn. It seems like they're struggling with it. Now,
No one
I
cares
said this
about it.
before. The
No one cares
directors,
at this point. No one cares about this. The quality
yeah.
can overcome the DCEU. Fans are patient. They want, like I said, you should have. To me, if I would have started this thing over, I would have went with Young Justice. It's way better, way
Young
better.
Justice would have been a different take on it, and I completely agree with that. But I think the four directors, at least that's coming out for these next four films, they're solid, seasoned veterans. I think they all have something to bring to the table. You can laugh, man. James Wan's not a seasoned, solid director with Aquaman. Okay, you got David F. Sandberg. He's a great director. You have Andy Muschietti. Now, Andy Muschietti, he's kind of hit and miss. I'll agree with that. But I liked the first It Part 1, and then I liked Mama, that other horror movie that he did. I love both of those. It Part 2 was kind of like, but the first two movies that he did, those two movies, great. Okay, and then so you have, and then Khaled Sarah, I think it's Wame Khaled Sarah. He did shoot, man, now the movie escaped me. He did The Orphan. Did you ever see The Orphan?
No.
No? Okay. All right. I'm not gonna go deep into it then. But he's a great director, and I think he's gonna do a good job. He just did the last that Jungle Book movie. I think that's how him and The Rock got I think that's how him and The Rock got connected. But that was a fun movie. And I think that he'll do that with Black Adam. So all right, so T, I'll let you have your say.
Giving hard. You're giving hard, please.
So folks, tell me what you think about this. Is T right? Is just a trash company that nobody should pay any attention to anymore? Should we start to move on? Or is this actually a really like positive thing? Maybe they're making some moves. This is chess, not checkers. So maybe they're making some strategic moves, trying to get things going in a certain direction. T, anyway, jump down in the comments. Let me know what you think. All right, T, let's move on. So this one, all right, came out just today, just a little bit ago. The Boys, the season 3 trailer finally dropped, and I shot it to you, and I'm gonna talk about it for a little bit because this is basically, and this is I think this is the trailer right here. We're not gonna really kind of listen to it, but we'll just like let it play while I'm giving my thoughts. I think that The Boys, especially as a series overall, is exactly what the comic book and the superhero culture needed. It's raw. It's kind of like what Peacemaker was when we saw that. It's raw. It's gritty. It's unapologetic. It's very satirical. So it's talking about all different levels of society, culture, business. Big business. It talks about like all the various things that you could kind of have pluses and minuses for in society. So I love this trailer, just from the standpoint of we're going to get more of the same. We're going to get more of the same things that we saw with The Boys seasons 1 and 2. Lots of blood, lots of guts, lots of, kind of risque comedy. Everything is going to be right there, and it says it right here. It's talking about the season 3 first not safe for work trailer is here, and it's absolutely caked in gore, and it is, and get lots of pictures of Homelander. You're seeing some of the things that are about to come up. I think that the A-Train and Butcher and what's the kid's name? Oh, Huey. Sorry, Huey. I think that those have always been my favorite characters. I see lots of them in this, so that makes me excited. So yeah, I'm pumped up for this. You know, I don't know exactly what the story is going to be. I've kind of stayed away from spoilers because, you know, it is a comic book. You can go out and buy it, but I've kind of stayed away from the spoilers when it comes to this. And so I'm interested to see what is season 3 going to bring us. Now, T, you go ahead and you tell me how this show sucks and everybody's going to hate it and all the other negative stuff that you want to say about The Boys. Your turn. Speak up! Speak up! You had so much to say. Come on, tell me. It's this show.
Hey, boys, the trailer was too fast for me to really grasp what's going on. I don't want to speculate. They always deliver, and I mean, it's kind of be hard to top season 2. So we'll see what's happening. I'm not asking for anything with this. You know what I mean? I think you solved a lot of the puzzle last
season. Okay.
And I think that this trailer is a nothing burger.
Nothing burger. What?
Nothing burger to me.
Why? Okay. Go into the nothing burger. How many times have you watched? Did you just see it one time?
I just seen it the second time. I watched it while you were talking.
Okay, you was watching. That was the second time you see it. So what makes it a nothing burger?
Like I said, I think because the scenes go by really quick. It's a lot to take in. You basically seen the whole season. It's only 8 episodes. They showed you a lot of the details of what was going on.
Right.
Anybody who's done the research on how the series goes, I mean, they're gonna tweak a little bit, based on the comic books and just trying to tell a different version of the story. But it's a nothing burger to me. Nothing.
Okay. So you're not saying you're not excited for season 3. You're just saying this trailer does nothing for you.
I'm excited for season 3. I'm excited.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that, and like I said, I think I was talking about this with the Obi-Wan trailer. Like a trailer is just a way to kind of get you a sneak peek. You don't want it to tell you too much. You don't want it to give you the story. You just kind of want it to give you a sneak peek, kind of like peeking into your closet at Christmas and seeing what Dad got you for Christmas. Like, yeah, Dad, what did you get me? And you just kind of peek it. You're not in there playing with the toys, just kind of taking a look and saying, okay, that's what we got coming. Okay, good. Now, whether or not that ends up being a great, like when you get to Christmas Day, you finally get to open up all the presents and you got all your expectations met, that's a different matter. Like, okay, am I going to get my expectations met or is this going to be a nothing burger? And so from a trailer standpoint, it's okay. I think I'm excited more just to see, like, they're going to be dealing a lot with some of my, again, favorite characters, Huey, Butcher, Homelander, and A-Train. I love all 4 of those characters. I am looking forward to that part of it. But, it sounds like you're just like, we'll see what happens. Okay. All right, T. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let the audience talk about this. Folks, what do you think? Is this going to be a good, good show or a good season? I'm sorry, for The Boys? Are you looking forward to it? Did the trailer get you hyped? Or are you just kind of like, we'll see what happens? Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Let me know what you think. And yeah, T, let's move on. Now, this topic, I really want to discuss at length because I had, and I'm gonna turn this off real quick. I have a bone to pick with the folks down at Hollywood for everything that they've been doing lately when it comes to making shows, okay? And that is this. Hold on just a second. Let me just get something here. Bang, bang. All right, so I'm gonna talk about this, and you can maybe see what this little icon says. It says reboot. All right, it's a little guy pushing a reboot button. And the reason that I'm going to talk about this is because there's a lot of this stuff going on right now. I want to call this reboot mania. All right, based on a lot of the properties that are coming up in the next couple of months. So I'm gonna bring us up here, and T, I just want you to peep this out, man. This is all the stuff that's coming up. Okay, so I just wrote down a little list of everything that we got. All right, so let's read through this. Here's all the things, and this is just 2022. Okay, this is just 2022. We got Scream. We already had some of these, okay? Scream, Pinocchio, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Death on the Nile, already had that. Salem's Lot, Fraggle Rock, bro, Fraggle Rock. Firestarter, they're remaking that. Bel Air, we already know that came out. Night Court, the Batman, of course, already came out. Gremlins, Father of the Bride, and Cheaper by the Dozens. These are like remakes of remakes now, okay? They're rebooting and remaking that because both of those were redone by Steve Martin, okay? You got the Boondocks coming back. You got Proud Family. You got Frasier. You got Law and Order. You got the Toxic Avenger, all right? So I'm like, what's going on with Hollywood, man? I mean, we know that they are completely, are they just completely devoid of talent at this point? Like, is that what we're looking at here? Like, is everybody creatively dead? T, I want you to tell me what you think, because in my opinion, and I'm just going to start off with this, in my opinion, that the creative people are no longer a part of this process. You know what I'm saying? They are no longer a part of this process. Okay? Right now, the creatives are, they're out of the loop. You know what I'm saying? They're completely out of the loop. So I want to hear from you, man. What do you think about all of these shows that are just getting rebooted and remade? And it's just like, come on, man. Like, at some point in time, are we just going to get back to original programming? All right, tell me.
I think ultimately what's happened is you've got a copycat. Studio League. It's just like when you go on Amazon Prime and you see all these struggle movies. Oh, so and so was abused and battered and came to all this. They have a category for that stuff. And I think what it's showing is Hollywood is trying to go back in and get their money where they could have made it already, right? Touching things that didn't make as much money. Let's see if we can go back to it, right? Because they're like the only one I can see there that is trying to sell toys is maybe Gremlins, Batman, say, and Toxic Avenger. I would like to see a Toxic Avenger remake. That'd be great. But I think that the one thing, like Fraggle Rock's obviously too, but I think that they're so afraid to touch anything because of the climate that we're in now, as far as what can and cannot say, which is all a figment of your imagination. Under the rights of the United States, you can say whatever. The consequences that follow that are up to you, right? But it should not be any retaliatory thing. People ought to be able to speak their mind and say how they feel. It's your choice to either continue to deal with them or move on. Be able to this is the great thing about America is what you've got a freedom of expression. You are going to have to express yourself. Now the consequences that come afterward, you can, but you ought to be saying, hey, I said something that was maybe off the mark, but I meant no harm in what I said, and it's about understanding, right? Doing the right thing is not always right. That's the hard truth. I think the right thing in the people move on, buy a script from Terence and Derek or for anybody for that matter, and just try something. I think the advantage to Netflix does that. They say, hey, I'm green. I need some original content. It's got to be IP, right? I think they have these IPs and they're going to go back to them, man, because that's what they feel like. Oh man, like Hollywood doesn't really want to scare anybody, right? What happens when a scary movie makes money? They're shocked by it. Oh my God, it made money. Oh man, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a shock. It's a shock to them. Hey man, well, let's do Bel Air. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this. Stop going in the same wheelhouse, man. Well, you literally have vaults upon vaults full of original story.
Right.
Stop even picking it up from a book. I want to see an original script where you're like, whoa, man, let me see this. Let me see a movie where these guys start on the top of a building, man. They wake up out of nowhere, man, on top of a building and say, hey, man, you have 12 hours to get down to the bottom of this thing, and you have to take the stairs, the elevators all the way out. You don't have a rope, you don't have a chain, but you have to get down because this building is due to demolish itself. People want to see that, you know what I mean? I know it's got a little indication, maybe you don't apply it. Don't say, well, that happened at 9/11. No, I want to see what these guys did to get down. I want to see, okay, well, what's at the bottom waiting for them? At the bottom waiting for them is this aliens that have obviously taken over the world. And like, whoa. But at the bottom is a ship waiting for them that they can take off for, right? And everybody says, well, why couldn't the ship those go up? Oh, man, because the ship has something is wrong with his navigation, but they have to do something out of the box that is like great, right?
Yeah.
I want to see something that's great, like that Tomorrow War. It was great, right? It was a great little.
I liked Tomorrow War. I actually liked Tomorrow War. A lot of people were kind of down on that, but I was like, all right, this is kind of interesting. I think the story wasn't as clean as it could have been. And
no, it wasn't. Obviously rewrite, but it had the same thing I talked about last week. It's the mother alien that control the hive mind. That's so stupid to me. That's so stupid. That's so stupid for a race of aliens that came here on a spaceship from galaxies away to only have a hive mind. That's dumb.
Yeah, it kind of belies the idea of, again, and this is the problem, is that it's funny how you mention hive mind when we're talking about this subject of, all right, everybody's rebooting everything, things are getting rebooted again and again and again. It's kind of like Hollywood has a hive mind. It's like, hey, we're just going to keep doing the same thing, and what we're losing in the process is like the creativity. Like, we just talked about Top Gun a little bit ago, and how they're rebooting that because it's a big known, name. It's Top Gun, Tom Cruise, but you just pointed out, like, you're bringing Tom Cruise into an environment that doesn't exist anymore. Like, the 80s was a different world, and now you're bringing them into this particular environment, and it's a different era. Not to say that that's going to be a bad move. Maybe the movie will be good, but it's like, okay, to remake that or reboot that entire thing after almost 40 years, it's like, okay, why? Why? Like, because you're trying to make money. It's the easiest thing to do. I was listening to, I don't know if it was a podcast or it was a YouTube video, and these two guys was kind of going back and forth, and they were discussing like, well, how easy is it for a main producer or like somebody that's a creator to create something versus like create something from scratch, right? Versus just kind of like taking an existing IP and just kind of running with it. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, it's obviously easier to take an existing IP, right? Like, you would think, like, yeah, that's the easiest thing to do. Take an existing IP, something that already has a built-in fan base, something that's had years and years of success, and just kind of slap a new label on it. That's kind of why we always, talk about racializing, like, Batman, Superman, all of these various characters that are already popular. Yeah, it's easier to do that than, let's say, drop Icon, a brand new, fresh face, a new, like, nobody knows who Icon is because they won't. But that's the whole thing. It's the lack of risk taking. And that's the thing that bugs me, because it's like the creative people are no longer a part of making this stuff. It's like creative people are no longer a part of the process. You know what I mean? Like, the guys that are doing the work, they're like technically proficient, right? But there's nothing artistic about what they're doing. And you can say, well, they're doing a different take on this character or this different take on this show. Like we saw Fresh Prince of Bel-Air getting rebooted to, more urban and gritty. It's not a comedy anymore. And like, I've heard good things about it. I've heard it was done fine. It was great and all of that kind of stuff. But the problem is that you could have still did that same similar type of a show, but you could have did it without the trappings of, Uncle Phil and Fresh and, and Jazz and, Aunt Viv, and you can just strip all of that stuff down. I'm going to let you talk a second. You can strip all of that stuff down, and you could just say, hey, can you tell a good story? And can this story be just as engaging without all of the IP that came with it? And if you can't do that, there's something wrong with your art form. There's something wrong with your creativity. Or even if there isn't something wrong with your creativity, you have to now stretch yourself, because now I'm feeling like we're just kind of creatively shrinking. You know what I mean? Like, we're just getting smaller, less creative, less artistic. And that's not just a problem for Hollywood and everybody. That's a problem for society at large. All right, I'm going to let you go.
You hit the nail on the head, D. It's not, reboots are not artwork. That's not art. That's not art. Art is stories.
Yeah.
Like Margaret Gum and, Solomon. Like I want to see artwork. Reboots are not art. It's a retelling. What does Hollywood use that term? It's a retelling of a vision. You know what I mean? Like, no.
They call it a reimagining. A reimagining.
Stop all that. That's just a fancy way of saying, hey, we cheated on tests and we got the answers, and guess what, guys? We're gonna do a remake. Stop that. You gotta have
Yep.
originality, man. There's plenty of ideas that are out there, man. Why not do a movie about Easter Island, man? Easter Island, dude. Like, do that. Like, how does this exist? Like, do something crazy. Do a crazy premise that might make it, and don't have freaking Nazis or something. Just do something that's like, do something that is something to make me say, man, who thought of that, dude? Who thought
Well,
of
that's the
that?
problem is that but you said earlier, there's probably tons of scripts sitting in a vault somewhere that have all of that. But the problem is that now nobody's making it. And the creative people that are existing out there in society, they're like, well, I'm not going to get any work, or I'm not going to be able to do my thing. That's what's kind of good about, the independent film, the independent film, independent comic books, independent, media, like, Amazon. Amazon allows you to print and produce your own work, like a book or even like a television show or something like that. Like, you can do that stuff on your own and say, hey, let me just shoot it out there, put it on YouTube or whatever, and you can actually get your creative work out. But what's happening right now is a lot of people, they are afraid to be creative, and they're saying, no, I gotta go and learn how to reboot and come up with a new snazzy way of looking at, something like the Boondocks, or something like Cheaper by the Dozen, or something like Firestarter. And these were all great shows, great movies when they first came out. But now we got to figure out, like, okay, what new take can we have on that? Instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to create something completely brand new, maybe like this, but it's going to be completely different. It's going to be completely unique. And I fear that as we keep going down this path, you're just going to start to see culture just completely becoming washed out. It's just going to be like, yeah, it's just bland. It's just lowest common denominator storytelling. We're getting a lot of that right now, and it's a problem. And hopefully Hollywood and, the general public will start to say, I'm not really into that, and they start chasing after things that are a little bit more creative. That's my hope. But, we'll see what happens. Any last words on this particular subject?
No, I think you said it well. Like I said, I'm not really not too much to add on that, man.
All right, cool. All right, folks. Well, let me know what you think in the comments below. Creativity, reboots, remakes, reimagined, all of that kind of stuff is becoming way too prominent. And I think at some point in time, we got to come down from that and, let the creators, hey, Hollywood, Universal Studios, Warner Brothers, go dust off some original scripts. See if you can find some good directors, actors, and producers to get out there and make these things, because that's really what we need. We don't need to reboot everything. And, and this is coming from a person that won't mind watching the occasional reboot, but it just can't be everything. All right, T.
Hold on, G.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when they incorporate technology, hey, we like movies, man, but if you're gonna get these young kids, you have to incorporate technology in them.
Oh,
I remember that one movie where they like, hey, did about Facebook, and like I thought that was interesting. Or hey, look on your cell phone. You have to do more movies like that that incorporates that.
I thought you was gonna keep talking. All right, man. Hey, but yeah, folks, let us know in the comments what you think. All right, T, last topic. All right, so this one's a doozy. And this is interesting because we had just got through talking about this. And this one is about, these guys, once again, it seemed like they in the news every like two or 3 days. Disney Plus, okay? And we know what happened because we had talked about it just a little bit ago regarding the Netflix shows that are on their way. And here's the article right here. Parents are outraged over the TVMA shows coming to family-friendly Disney Plus. Now, that word family-friendly is kind of like, there's a lot of stuff on Disney Plus already, in my opinion, that could be construed as non-family friendly. It depends on your point of view. But I thought this was interesting because it's parents that are outraged. It's not, non-parents. This is coming from parent groups who are worried that, their kids are, going to be, maybe, tainted by this terrible, Daredevil show that's going to be coming out. It is TVMA or something. I don't know what their real concerns are, but I'm going to read a couple of quotes from this. So It says here, of course, that Disney Plus made a splash earlier this month and announced that numerous Marvel series would be coming to the streaming platform. And then not everybody was with it. You know, it kind of goes into the shows that are coming over. You know, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course, is coming over. It also went through Daredevil, Jessica Jones, la da 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 da. Okay, so we get to this starting March 16, which is only in a couple of days from now. All of those shows are going to be on Disney Plus. Now, here's what the guy said, T. This was fun. All right, so for more than 98 years, this is the parent guy. For more than 98 years, the Walt Disney Company has been synonymous with the words family friendly, and I could think of no other corporation in American history that has been built more squarely on the backs and on the wallets of parents and families. And all he goes on and on talking about how it's a horrible thing. So what comes next? Adding live striptease performances to Fantasyland or Disney World? Like, dude, are you kidding me? Right? You know, like he's just going way too far with it. But here's the thing, and here's what I wanted to discuss, right? Like, first of all, we know this is a business move, right? You know, Disney has to start competing with HBO Max, competing with Netflix, competing with Amazon Prime, and all of those shows just have, hey, man, we just, you know, whatever you want to watch it, we got it on this platform. It's here for you. We know that they have to start doing that stuff. They're adding a parent code. So I feel like, look, you got a parent code, right? What's the problem? Okay, so I don't understand what the problem is. It's a smart business move, I think, from Disney's standpoint to put this material there. T, what do you think?
I think Disney's in a lose-lose situation because they're business parents who most parents at this point love Disney. I got a colleague that goes to Disneyland dinner every weekend, takes his kids, you know, like because he grew up and it's something you pass down. Disney has provided a happy meal basically for you. So, but I think, you know, we're not living in a, you know, we're living in a world where NFL team is in Las Vegas, Nevada that gambles. You got to be realistic, right? Like everybody's purchasing this thing, unless you wanted to go Disney.
A little louder, man.
Huh?
A little louder. I didn't hear that last part.
You gotta have a paywall. You gotta have a paywall to get what you need, right? So what do you do? You know, what do you do? If I'm Disney, I'm here to make money. Obviously, the direction that I'm going in is not going to get me where I need to be in the time frame I initially anticipated. I've got stakeholders, I've got investors, I got fans, customers to supply. You can either have done that through Hulu or you've done it through Disney Plus. I think going through Disney Plus is great. Hey, in cooperation with Disney Plus, we put this through our platform through Hulu, right? I think Disney Plus is the cards are stacked against them anyway because you know what? It's not 1950s, 60s, 70s, or even 80s or 90s. This is 2022. Hey, why are your kids up late? Have it. Hey, if you want to do it, have it for parameters. Say, hey, listen, from 8 p.m. until 5 a.m., this will be available for anybody to watch. Right.
Well, I mean, but you don't even need to do that. You got a parent code. Like your kids, you can lock it out. Like, okay, you want to watch this, you got to type in that parent code, tip, tap, pop, pop, and it's in. And if your kids guess the code, you can change the code. And the thing about it is, and I want to ask you because I'm a parent, you're a parent, okay? I've raised 4 kids myself. So here's my thing, okay? Like, you have bigger problems to me if you can't use the safeguards that a company provides in order to keep your kids from watching the stuff you don't want them to watch. Like, you got big problems if you can't figure out, like, okay, like the internet is just wide open. Now, I'm sure the kids got tablets. I'm sure they got cell phones and all of that stuff. So, like, wait, what are we talking about here?
Say in Jurassic Park.
What was that?
This famous quote, life will find a way.
Exactly, man. Kids are going to find a way to watch what they want to watch. So if you don't have your eyes on the ball, your kids going to watch whatever they want to watch anyway. And you can't count on, like, to me, it sounds like they're asking Disney to kind of be parents for them. Hey, you got this kind of nice, safe, little family-friendly thing. Can you just keep it that way so I can just plant my kid in front of the TV and not have to worry about them? But the thing about it is your kid's just going to be like, all right, mom's gone. Let's go ahead and jump on the Amazon. Let's watch The Boys because they've already learned how to do that. There's no way that you can block it out.
I'll just use somebody else's. I'll just use Jeff's account, or I'll use Anthony's account.
Right.
You know,
Right.
What did I say? Life will find a way. This
Right.
is a non-issue. You know,
The parent council saying this, it shows like how like kind of like not thinking some of these parent councils are, maybe even some of these parents are, because they think that somehow they're gonna suppress. Oh, I know how to do that. We'll just order Disney Plus, and it's like, bro, do you think like right now? I can tell you, I got my little nephew, man. He's already learning how to. He's not even 3, or he's 3. He's not even good on the tablet. I mean, he's learning how to use the tablets already. He's swiping, he's tapping. In a couple of years, he's probably gonna be, pulling the thing apart and programming it. These kids are smart, and if you think honestly, if a parent code probably isn't going to slow a kid down too much, but that's all they can do anyway. But the parent council saying, oh well, it's like, look, Disney's not supposed to raise your kids, folks. Okay, that's the thing that we got to get through. Disney is not supposed to raise your kids. Y'all sound like lazy parenting. Okay,
this parent council who's been doing nothing for the last 30 to 40 years. No violence slowed down after Tom and Jerry was taken off the air. No
Nope.
violence slowed down after Looney Tunes was gone. I talked to a child earlier today that had no idea who Daffy Duck was. None. No idea who Bugs Bunny is. No, like, come on. Yosemite Sam, yeah, they had guns and violence. Hey, you're going to have guns and violence, anything. You cannot neuter the world. Life will find a way. It will find a way.
100%.
Right? Now,
100%.
if you want to take responsibility, great, right? But it's your choice. Hey, you know what else? I don't like cigarettes. I think they're disgusting. But they're still sold, and it's on you to be responsible enough to either choose to participate in it or don't participate in it.
Bingo.
That's just be responsible as parents. Stop letting the television tell you what to do. You do it yourself. Engage. Model what you want for your children. You don't want Disney Plus? Don't get Disney
Engagement
Plus.
with your kids. Because here's the thing, man. Like, full disclosure, my kids have watched horror movies with me. Like, me and my boys, they're older now. They're both above the age of 18. And my oldest son also, he watched horror movies with me. Now, I could never get my daughter to come along with us, but my 2 middle kids, my oldest son, even my daughter, we've all been to horror movies together. We watched Evil Dead together. I'll still never forget that. And they were all under the age of 18 at that point. But we had a blast, man. It was fun. And the thing about it is, as a father, what you could do is you can like kind of, you kind of take the sting out of stuff like that. And you kind of have a conversation with your kids and say, hey, look, there's material out here. You're going to watch it at some point in time in your life, or you're going to come into contact with it or whatever. So I'm going to be here as a parent just to kind of shepherd you through that moment. Now, does that mean every kid or every parent should watch all the rated R horror movies or all the bad stuff out there? No. Every parent is different, and you got to decide for yourself if you feel like, okay, this is something for me and my family to be involved with. That's something for you to decide. Hey, me and my kids, we have a great relationship when it comes to that stuff as a parent, but it's one-to-one. It's individual. Everything ain't for everybody. So you're going to run into a situation where it's like, you know what? I want my kid to really have a good time. Know these films, know all of this stuff. That's what I want for my kids. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show him Chucky when he's, 10. Maybe that's like the starter horror movie. You show him Child's Play 1, and then you just kind of build from there, and you kind of test them out. And that's kind of how I did it. My kids was into all of that goofy stuff, the Mr. Giggles, type horror movies that are just like insane. That's what my kids was into. Everybody's different.
Dr. Giggles? What are you talking about?
It was Mr. Giggles, man. It was like the dumbest horror film ever.
That was about the dentist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
But good, look, man. But what I'm saying is that parents have to be parents. Okay, what works for me and my kids and my family may not work for yours. But parents have to be parents. So you have to figure this out. But you can't just say, "Hey, Disney, just don't have that stuff on your platform." That's ridiculous. Like I said, kids will find a way.
I think you're right, D. I think it's in a no-win situation. We're in total agreement about this. You're a stakeholder. What am I to do? I've got a business to run here, right? Hey, hopefully we're working. You're working cooperatively with your child and explaining, hey, look, like they're not gonna put any smut on there. It's a little cursing. They're gonna hear curse words in the world.
Yeah. A little cursing, a little violence, and again, but it's not for everybody. And some parents know, hey man, my kid's gonna really react differently to that. It might give them nightmares, or it might do this or do that. Okay, that's your chance to be a parent. Okay, parents, step up and be parents. Don't just expect your television to raise. People have been talking about this for 40, 50 years, and people are still complaining about it. Go be a parent. Stop letting Disney Plus raise your children and say, okay, I can just park my kid in front of the Disney Plus channel and we're done here. But okay, T, I appreciate that. And folks, let me know what you think in the comments about that subject. If you're a parent, are you worried about Disney Plus adding this type of content? Probably the people that watch my channel aren't really worried about it. But if you are, jump down, let me know what you think. Okay. Well, T, that'll do it for this episode of Movies with the Homies. Definitely want to thank you for popping on here. Any last words on any topics, things you're looking forward to?
I'm really disappointed in the remake thing, and I'm super disappointed in DC. They had a golden opportunity to do the right thing, and yet they fell on their sword. I just don't. It's hard to trust a company that doesn't listen to the fan base, and when they do listen to the fan base, it hurts because I've been telling you to do that for the longest. You guys screwed that up. So that's my whole take. I think Disney Plus has to do a better job of, outreach. You can't make everybody happy. We'll see what happens. I don't think Top Gun is going to do well at all. And
no, you made a really good point with that, because Top Gun, you make a really good point, because it feels like a movie from a different time. And I don't know how this one's going to play out. Like, I'm sure it's going to be updated. I'm sure it's going to be updated for the current times. But that type of a movie was really good at that time because of the climate of the country. The temperature has changed a whole lot. And like you said,
dynamic to what I'm talking about, how they're trying to make that be the same.
Yeah.
So it's a marketing ploy. So you got to see what's happening. You got to be 2 steps ahead. The problem with a lot of what we're talking about and dealing with, especially with the remakes and all the stuff that they're making, is you've got an educated consumer. So the consumer can do reviews. Reviews weren't around back in 1980 something. You've got a community that talks to each other. So the more and more these communities gather and get information and say, hey man, no, that's my take on things, it kind of disrupts the even flow of what the narrative usually is, right? And it's really, really bad. Top Gun is probably a great movie if you're into military, but we're not in a warring society, man. Nobody wants to war at all. It's all about peace, right? And it's contradictory to push that agenda when everybody's talking about peace.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 7 of Movies with the Homies. We'll be back next week. We'll have 5 or 6 more topics, and we'll discuss more about it. T, I appreciate you coming out, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
See you next time.